Hello ladies and gentlemen, Quivz here, Quivz does stuff. Today I'm playing a bit of Necromunda Underhive Wars by Rogue Factor, developed by Rogue Factor, published by Focus Home Interactive, I think their name is, Focus something anyway. Based on the intellectual property by the artist previously known as Games Workshop, now trading under, I believe, just Warhammer. If you're familiar with the Warhammer universe, especially the Warhammer 40k universe, known as the Grimdark, this is gang warfare within one of the hives, known as Necromunda. What's a hive? If you've ever gotten far enough in SimCity, you might have seen arcologies. A hive's very much like an arcology. It's one massive structure, supposed to be self-sustaining. You know, within it, food is produced. Industry produces all the things that the people need. All the people live and die. And in the case of Necromunda, these are fairly dystopian places. Like, there would be literally millions of people that have never seen the sun. And you don't really want to see the sun on a planet. I'm not even sure what planet Necromunda is on. I think the planet might actually be called Necromunda, but I'm not sure. You really don't want to see the sun on a place like that, because that means you're outside and everything's irradiated and you'll probably die. Unless you've got assorted protection. Anyway, I won't go too much into the lore, so for the purposes of today's play, I've just made a new gang. I'm going to be playing the skirmish mode, not the story stuff. I might do some story stuff at another time. It is kind of good, kind of bad. People talk about it in different lights depending on their preferences. I think it's a pretty good story. It makes sense within the lore of Necromunda, and it teaches you how to play the game as you go along. I of course already know how to play the game, so this is a pretty good gang, even though I've just started. I've got 5 members, which if you've first started playing the game, you can't even get 5 members. I have lots of extra money. I could go for 6, but I'm doing an easy fight first, so I don't need any extras. You can only have 5 characters on a map at a time anyway, so I don't really need reserves. These characters have also been tooled out a little bit extra due to how far I am in the game. You get these special points called infamy, which are basically points that you get for achievements. Oh, excuse that, that's just my alarm. Actually, might just do something quickly since that alarm went off. It's actually time to take my pill. Forgot about that, but oh well, better do it. Hope. Easy done. Okay. So I'll show you a bit of that as well. So in the infamy screen, so you choose 2 facilities, which is the equivalent of in the Necromunda tabletop, you'd have gang territory that you control. And over here on the right hand side, you can see there's all these tasks, things that you have to do. These are all achievements. So, you know, put so many enemies of a certain kind out of action, which is basically putting them down. Now, people don't always die permanently. There are injuries in the game, so in a slight RPG-esque fashion, when you take a ganger out, they're not necessarily dead. They might, but normally they just accrue an injury, which you can sometimes heal, sometimes not. Sometimes you have to do things like replace it. So, for example, someone might take an eye injury. You'll have to replace that eye with a bionic eye to get rid of that injury. Now, the bionic eye comes with benefits as well. So there are times when maybe you might even want to replace a perfectly working eye with a bionic eye just to get the advantages of the bionic eye. Other things like brain injuries might make them stupid or aggressive or whatever, and you can put in neurostimulant chips, things that counteract their stupidity or counteract their aggressiveness. And they may come with advantages or disadvantages. Sometimes, most of the time, if you're lucky, it's just negating the problem. Sometimes it negates the problem but gives you a different one, but it might be a lesser evil, so you might take that. Anyway, so doing these tasks, these achievements, you accrue these infamy points, and using these infamy points at the beginning of an operation, which is sort of a set of shifts. So each shift is basically one fight, and then you get another shift, and then another fight, and then you get another shift, and you get another fight. And there are so many shifts to an operation. Once an operation's done, you tally up your score, so to speak, to see who won, whether you won or one of the other gangs won. And at the beginning of each operation, you can choose to spend infamy points on certain things. So I chose to spend it on really good ranged weapons, really good melee weapons. And this House Blessing rarely does anything good for me, but we'll see. It might make a difference. These are basically only work at the end of the entire operation. I get an extra 2 loot caskets if I successfully... Oh no, I just get an extra 2 loot caskets. If I successfully complete the operation, I get an extra loot casket. So that's this here down in the bottom left. Completion rewards, that's completion of this entire operation. I get 1 loot casket and 25 credits, which is nothing. Okay. Each operation revolves around the collection and holding of resources, because you can lose them again once you've collected them. This is the total resources up here at the top for the entire sector, for the entire operation. These will be doled out part and parcel in these missions. So you see in this mission there's 90 resources up for grabs. I'm the gang at the top, the Lost Ones in white. The Sisters of Hysteria, that's another Escher gang, you can tell by the icon. And this one is Massive Crew, which I believe is... Is that Orlok? No, Orlok's a fist. That is a Goliath gang. Big hefty fellas. We'll probably come up against them either in this match or the next one, so there's a good chance you'll see it during the course of this. Now my clan requests, so my clan wants me to finish first in 50% of the missions. That should be pretty easy, because this is an easy operation, which is the easiest operation that there is, and I have killer stuff. Not to mention every other gang will only have 4 fighters to start, and I start with 5, so I'll pretty much cream them in the first ones. Okay, so here's a different one. This one, there's only 20 resources up for grabs, but there's a guilder who's going to give me stuff, all these credits. Now, for me at the moment, credits aren't very useful, so I'm not going to do this one. I'm rather going to go for the salvage. So let's jump into a mission, and I'll show you a bit more about the game. What happened there? Okay, so the Sisters of Hysteria, they went for this mission. Now, nobody else went to that mission, so they essentially got free run. The Guilder, they got the 20 resources and the 240 credits without having to put up a fight. They didn't have to do anything. They just got it for free. But now, where I went, the Massive Crew have decided to compete for those resources. So I'm going to have to fight. Which is good. Oh no. And guess what? The game crashed. So how's that for classic live streaming hilarity? Okay, it doesn't do that often. It happens. It doesn't happen often. We'll jump back in as quickly as we can. And fingers crossed the stream will just pick it up again, or I might have to go back into OBS and do it again. Nope, it's picked it up again. Cool. Yeah, crashes not frequent. They do happen. The game is not in early access, but it did launch, probably one of those games that they built some hype, because this is really a game made for fans of the tabletop game. So it came out when they said it was going to come out, and it probably wasn't ready to really come out yet. We'll see if... Yeah, Lost Ones, that's them. If it's completely broken and I'm going to have to start a new gang. Alright, that's them there. Are they equipped correctly? Let's check that. Oops, no, I don't want to do that. The game does have multiplayer. You can play just against other people, so there's that too. Yeah. And it didn't crash this time. Okay. Yeah, the lore and imagery in Necromunda are pretty impressive, and I have to say these guys have done a brilliant job on the look of the characters and the look of the maps. The look of the maps is really baller. So this is the 3D layout of the map. Now, one of the few things about Necromunda, this particular PC game, versus Necromunda, the tabletop game, is the lack of ladders. In Necromunda, pretty much no matter who you are, if you make scenery, you make a lot of ladders. They didn't do that in this at all. There are no ladders. What there are instead are these weird zip lines that go both up and down. Another thing is every character has a drop rig, what on the tabletop was called a drop rig, which basically allows you to anchor somewhere on the level that you're on and then descend, much like you see SWAT teams doing on ropes down the side of buildings. Every character can do that. Every character has a drop rig. One particular kind of character, in this case my leader, known as a Deadeye, has the equivalent of a grapnel, which allows you to go up. Grapnel is the only way on the tabletop that you can go up. I'm not even sure if it's called a grapnel in this. I think it is. But it doesn't have quite the same freedom of movement that a grapnel does in the tabletop game. This is a video game. It is a bit different. Now, a lot of other things work differently. This is has spiritual similarities to Necromunda, the tabletop game, but isn't the same. It really isn't. I'm going to go close to him over here because, especially in these easy games, your best bet is not to actually go for the objectives from the start, but to actually just try and kill the opposing gang as quickly as you can. Because if you kill the opposing gang, you get one free round to collect all the loot. So if your objective is to get all this loot, if they're not there, it's really easy to get this loot. In the very beginning few weeks of the game's release, the opposing gang was really bad at getting the loot. They've fixed that somewhat, and the opposing gang now is actually pretty good at picking up the loot and getting off the table with it. If you get off the table with it, well, there's no way for the other guy to get it back. Now, Escher as a gang, they only come in females. They hate males. There are males within the Escher clans, but they are used for specific purposes. Basically, I think they're pretty much just donors of a very particular type, you can kind of guess. And yeah, they're very subservient, they're very weak, they've been genetically messed up over years and years and years and are completely useless. Goliaths, as it so happens, are kind of the opposite of Escher. They're not only males, but they are massive. They're called gen-hanced. Their genetics have been massively enhanced to make them big, hulking people. They are generally used in industrial areas where heavy labor is required. The problem is, Goliaths have very, very short lifespans, so they grow up real early. They take like a year to mature, and then they live for another 4 years, and then that's the end of their natural lifespan. The thing is, to grow a Goliath takes a lot of chemicals, and the people who work in the chemicals just so happen to be the Escher. So while Escher and Goliaths really hate each other on a whole big brutish male to tiny little female sort of basis, pretty sexist really, but hey, it's just lore within this futuristic imaginary universe. I don't know where non-binary comes into this universe. It's not mentioned much. It does exist, and it seems to be perfectly normal. Nobody seems to give a damn. It's like, oh, well, you don't prescribe to your physical gender, you identify as something else. Nobody gives a shit. But yeah, Goliaths hate Escher. Escher hate Goliaths. Goliaths are dependent on Escher to make more Goliaths. Escher are dependent on Goliaths to make enough money to survive. Alright, so the first turn. The first thing you have to do is every round is made up of all the turns it takes for everyone to use all their fighters. So I pick which fighter I'm going to go this turn, and I'm going to choose the fighter with the initiative of 42. As you can see at the bottom, that's my heavy. Now, in E42 is their initiative. That's the order that they go in. So someone with a higher initiative goes first. But because no one else has been deployed to the table, you see how the other gang over there, you can just see them in the distance on the right-hand side of the screen. They're all grayed out. That's because no one's been deployed to the table yet. So I don't actually want to deploy first. I want them to deploy first. So I'm going to take someone with the lowest initiative, that being my heavy, because they've got a heavy weapon. Now, he's also gone with his heavy, but his heavy actually deploys first. And in this case, while that is a Goliath, that's actually a Goliath female. So the other gangs all have males and females, but Escher don't. Escher, as a lore item, there are only females in their, basically in their working classes. Now, did he go into Overwatch? It looked like he went into Overwatch. Is that the Overwatch symbol? I'm not even sure if that's the Overwatch symbol. That is the Overwatch symbol. So that's Overwatch. Overwatch is a stance where you sort of sacrifice the rest of your turn to shoot anything that moves within range of your gun. There is an equivalent called Ambush, which is when you shoot anything that moves within range of your melee weapons. Well, a short distance of your melee weapons and sort of a charge. You can actually charge in. Now, most of the rest of the time you can't charge because that would actually require you to have a specific skill called charge, which not everyone does. Alright, so at the bottom there's 1, 2, 3, 4 offensive things that I can select to do. 2 is tactical things I can select to do. 3 is to see my inventory, and 4 is to just end my turn as it is. Now, 1, 2, and 3, except for opening your inventory with 3 costs no action points, but everything on 1 and 2 costs a set number of action points to succeed in. On the bottom left you can see my character's name, the green health bar. There's the red bar, that is my current action points. I currently have 50 of a max 60 action points. You recover 50 action points per turn. You can store up to a max 60 on most characters. Some characters might have bonuses to that, but you generally don't recover an entire 60 unless there's some sort of buff that is allowing you to do so. MP is my movement points, so for every sort of meter I move around, one of those points gets deducted. Now, until I do an action or something happens to me that triggers, that forces me to, say for example, I take damage from that guy when he was shot at me, I lost some movement points. Because I'd moved, and he had caused an action that can no longer be taken back. But up until then, I can free move around and decide, okay, I want to stand here and shoot him from here, or I can stand behind this thing, or I can go up here. And this orange line on the ground here, that's sort of the range of my movement. Until I actually commit to an action, nothing is taken away from me. I still keep all my points. Now, the other things that you might see is the F in the middle. So F for vault means I'll vault over this thing, which is sometimes necessary, sometimes not. In this case, it's not. Another one you might see is F for jump. Now, F for jump, that's the drop rig. So I can select any of these spots here to jump down to. But I don't want to do that at the moment, so I'm just going to stand here behind this thing where I'm going to get the most cover next turn. I'm only going to get one shot, so I might as well go with an aimed shot in this case. Now, the other options here is Overwatch. So this yellow sphere that projects around my player, anything that moves more than 2 or 3 meters while within that sphere, if I have a 50% chance to hit it, I will shoot at it. This other one is called Heavy Barrage. It's specific only to heavies, and you have to be shooting downwards, so you have to be at a more elevated position than the thing you're shooting at. I can place this little sphere down somewhere below me, and anything that moves through that 2 to 3 meters I will shoot at. If it then proceeds to move further through it by another 2 to 3 meters, I will shoot at it again. Overwatch only gives you one shot. Heavy Barrage lets you do it so long as the thing continues to move within this sphere. But you'll notice it's a much shorter sphere. But you can, for example, I could use it to cover this walkway. So nothing could move across this walkway without being shot at several times because of my Heavy Barrage. But I'm not going to do that. I want to shoot this guy here. I'm going to do so with aimed shot. Now you'll see with a normal shot, it gives me a percentage chance to hit. So 96% chance it's going to hit. It's going to do 87 to 120 damage per hit as 29 to 40. That's because this is a heavy bolter and it shoots multiple shots. Now a graze, that is the equivalent of a critical miss. So it hits, well, not a critical miss, but it hits, but it doesn't hit very well. It doesn't hit center mass. So that'll do a lot less damage. And then a critical 4% chance, that is, it hits, and it hits something vital, like shoots someone in the eye or right in the heart or blows a hand off, etc., etc. In this case, I'm going to go with an aim shot. Now, an aim shot, you can choose your body section, and you'll have different percentages to hit those body sections, similar to VATS in Fallout series. So I'm going to choose to shoot him center mass in the torso, well, her, actually, with my heavy bolter. Took 3 shots. 2 of them hit. 1 of them was actually a graze, so that's very annoying. Then I'm going to do the tactical option, which is to kneel. Now, kneeling prevents you from being pinned. Pinned means something very different in the tabletop game. In this, all pinned does is when your next turn comes around, you'll actually have less movement points, which can be very annoying, and I'll show you why eventually with one of these characters. Then I'm going to end my turn because I don't have any action points left and there's nothing else I want to do. So from now on, there are people on the table. So from now on, I'm actually going to want to go first. I'm not going to want to go second anymore. And I kind of want to get this melee chick into range of that heavy, because she will mess him up. Okay, so the other guy got to go first because he's got a higher initiative than me. We'll see what he does. If he sets up an ambush, then me choosing melee is going to be bad. But if he goes in and just starts wailing on my heavy, that's okay, because I can just go in and wail on... Is that another female? I think that's another female Goliath. Yes, it is. Alright. So that did a lot of damage. One of them was critical. My character is now stunned as well. Ooh. Another regular hit and another critical. That's a lot of damage real early in the game. When your character is stunned, it's a bit like pinned. At the beginning of their next turn, they have to use action points to recover from the stun, so you start with less action points. Alright, I don't want to entirely block the walkway, so I'm going to get in like this and attack this guy with my 2 power mauls, and now I've stunned them. So I did a fair bit of damage there. Okay, so this is what I was talking about with movement points. Oh, I can't do it. I've used too many movement points. Alright, I was going to show you something, but I can't. So I could choose which hand, my left hand or my right hand. They both actually have the same weapon in them at the moment, so it makes no difference. Both hands was what I originally was. But you'll notice if you're looking there, that costs 30 AP, and I don't have 30 AP. I've got 20. So the best I can do is a left hand or a right hand. There is no handedness in this game. Left hand or right hand doesn't make any difference. It's just what weapon you actually have in them. 100% because this is melee, and I will smack him for another 40 something damage, and that is as much as I can do. I can recharge one of my weapons. That's because the weapons I'm using actually use charges. They have essentially power packs within them. Right, so she's recharged that. So in the bottom right you can see a backpack that has 0.7, that's because I've got nothing in my inventory. And then my 2 melee weapons, which are power mauls. You'll see one of them is 5 of 5 and one of them is 4 of 5. The 5 of 5 one is the one I recharged. The other one I've used this turn, but I didn't get a chance to recharge because I didn't have enough action points. Very complex game to describe and to teach someone how to play. The tutorial does a much better job because it's quicker and it uses constant examples, whereas I have to hope that the right example comes up to actually show you. Still pipped out by initiative by 1. Alright, well this guy's going to come down and he's probably going to join this fight, and I hope he can't actually reach my... Oh, he's going to try to ambush. Okay, so ambush is different. Like, it's similar, but it's different. And ambush is going to be a problem because that means if I want to get to this guy, I'm probably going to get ambushed by that guy. We'll see. I might be able to get in. I did. So he couldn't find a clear enough path for his ambush to actually work before I got close enough to this guy to get within melee range. I know I'm in melee range because that guy's circle, well, this girl's circle, has become highlighted. So I will go into my offensive and I will go into strike. There is the ambush icon. I can still shoot them, but I'm too close for shots now. But I want to hit them because I've got a big heavy melee weapon. And one more time, and there's a very good chance they will go out of action from this. There we go. So now I've knocked this person down. My left weapon is out of ammo because it also uses charges. Now I could go into tactical and recharge it. I can also do things like field repair. Field repair you can do on yourself and other characters within range. It essentially forces them to reload that character to reload their ammo and fix any jams. I'll show you jams and weapon. It's not really durability. It's more like the more you use something like a fully automatic weapon, the more likely it is to jam, unless you've specifically cleared it to make sure it's not going to jam. Now the other thing you'll see is there's F for interactions. So on interactions, I can trade with this character, but I've got nothing to trade, but I can search this guy. Now one of the things you want to do is, especially if you know the other gang's going to lose, and they're probably going to lose because I've got one more guy than them and I've got better weapons, is to take all of their weapons. Not only is it worth a lot of money to you, but in the next game, if they didn't win, they didn't get much money, and there's a very good chance they won't have a chance in hell of retaliating, because the next time they fight you, they won't have had any money to actually buy any more weapons. Now that's all my action points, so I can't do anything else, and if I move too far, that guy can now definitely ambush me. I am going to move just a little bit over and hope I don't get ambushed, and then finish my turn standing here. I can't do anything else, I don't have any action points left. Right, now, this is my leader. This is the one that can go up and down. Oh man, their leader once again. Another female. Is this an entirely female Goliath gang? It can happen. There's no reason why it can't. Yeah. And so their option, or their choice in this one, was to just go up there and shoot me once. That's all they decided to do, which was, you know, fairly standard. Alright, for my leader, I'm not even going to move. I'm going to stand here and I'm going to shoot this guy. Now that's a bolt gun. That is the epitome of weapons in Warhammer 40k. It is the exemplar. It's the one that everybody talks about. The bolt gun is... Cyberpunk's coming out. It's got rounds like that. What the bolt gun is, it is a solid guided munition, so it has more in common with a small missile than it does with a bullet. It is fired using an initial powder charge, I believe, or it's possibly a gas charge, but I think it's a powder charge. And then once it leaves the barrel, the actual projectile has within it a set of propellants, and it uses those propellants to actually direct the shell. So it can't curve like 90 degrees around a corner, but it can adjust for bad aim. How it homes in these cases... Well, it doesn't really work like that for these characters because they don't have the optics. So the bolt pistol and the bolt gun and the heavy bolter are the archetype weapons of the Space Marines, and they have all manner of cybernetic implants and things to assist in their combat role. They are the ultimate defenders of humanity. And basically when a Space Marine shoots a bolt gun shell, he only has to be close to the target, and his optics will identify what the target is and guide the bullet the extra little bit that he didn't line the gun up properly to hit the target. And we're talking about a Space Marine who already has enhanced reflexes and, typically speaking, generally doesn't miss in the first place. So their guns are exceptional. So even something that moves faster than a Space Marine, if he moves fast enough that the Space Marine's enhanced ability to aim means that the target isn't where the gun was pointing, the actual bolt shell will make up for that by still tracking the target and finding it during its flight. Anyway, that's a bolt gun, the epitome of 40k. So, now here's one of the other things I wanted to show you, and that is entrenched. So entrenched, you'll notice that it cost me 35 MP, not AP. So if I haven't moved, or I haven't moved very far, I can give up some more movement, and in this case, get back more action points, which means I now have enough action points to shoot again. And I'll go an aimed shot this time, just because it does have a higher actual hit percentage. So I could go from 100%, or I could go 97%. I will go the... I'm still going to have 20 points left over after this, even if I do an aimed shot. But I'm going to have 30 points left. No, I'm going to have 10 points left over if I do a... 10 points isn't going to get me anything. I'll go with... it'll let me kneel. I'm in an R-ing. I'm in an R-ing. Let's do a regular shot. Shouldn't miss. And did enough damage to kill him, so that's great. But now I don't have... Or do I? Yeah, I don't have enough movement points to get all the way over to him. And if I stand here, I'm actually going to block the walkway, so nobody else is going to be able to get past me. But that should mostly be okay. I'm going to kneel here, and I'm also going to reload that gun. Then I'm going to end my turn. Right, this is a Saboteur class, so they get special weapons. Now, the opposing team doesn't have a 5th fighter, which is why on the top you'll now see my Saboteur in white is highlighted, and there's a blue man with an arrow over his head, which basically means that the blue opponent has to skip because he doesn't have a guy to go. Alright, now this character is going to run through. She's going to definitely search this guy and steal any weapons he might have on him. And then she's going to get within range of that guy. I've only got 28 movement points left, so I'm definitely not going to get a chance to get extra AP back with... what's the word again? Entrenched. So I'm going to stand here, and I'm going to shoot this guy. This is with an acid thrower. So this... can't remember what else it does, but it does extra damage. Oh, it does toxin damage. And I think the game just crashed again. Oh no, recovered. Really didn't like it, but it didn't crash. Alright, so I've got enough points left to search this chest, and I'm going to do that. I'll take this giant spider venom, put that in my pocket. Tactically, I have enough points to reload my weapon. I still had 6 shots left, but I'm going to reload anyway. And then I'm going to end my turn. Round 2, we go back to the top, and everybody gets to go again. I'm going to choose this time my highest initiative fighter, which as it turns out is this one. And that is higher than them, and they only have their heavy left. I think I've killed everyone else already. So she is better at melee because of that heavy melee weapon she's got. I'm going to run her in, get close enough. I'm going to go into tactical and recharge the weapon, because otherwise I can't attack with it in hand-to-hand. Go into offensive, and I'm going to strike him. Kasmack. Well, her. One. Get another one. Oh, and I stunned him on the second one. Did a lot of extra damage. Now I'm out of ammo on that weapon again, so I can't attack again. I can again recharge. I also have enough left. So disengage. Once you're engaged in hand-to-hand combat, you can't just freely walk away from someone who's engaged you. The only way to actually get away is to use the disengage action, which costs both AP and MP. Now I could disengage, but it doesn't actually do anything for me, so I'm not going to. I'll just stand here and end my turn. So their first thing to do is they disengaged, and they are going to run away. Oh, there is another guy. I forgot about him. Yeah, so they're severely hurt. They are going for a mission objective. So as a result of picking that up, they can no longer bear their use their heavy weapon, because their heavy weapon requires 2 hands. They don't have 2 hands free. Their leader goes before my leader, but my leader is the next best guy I've got. This guy's probably also going to go for a weapon. Opiate extract. That gives them certain buffs. And they have put my heavy out of action. Pretty well done, actually. Not that worried about that. We should be fine. Okay, so first I can't move because I'm kneeling. So I have to stand up, but standing up is free. So kneeling at the end of your turn, if you can do it, do it. It's worth it. I have a 55% chance to hit him from here. I could go with an aimed shot. And then I would have a 100% chance to hit him in the torso, but that would cost me 40 of my 50 action points. If I want to use Entrench, that's going to cost me 35, which means if I use only 15 movement points to get somewhere where I can see him better... Oh dear, it's done something weird where it's not showing me how many movement points I've used. Have I just somehow given myself infinite movement points? It's possible that the game has bugged, and I've just given myself infinite movement points. No, I haven't. Alright, so... because it's bugged out, I now don't know how many movement points I've used to get here. There is an arrow that shows me where I started. This little orange arrow, that's where I began. So what I'm going to do to reset this, so I'm going to walk up to this guy and I'm going to search him again. So that is something I'm now committed to. Whether I take anything from his inventory or not, I've committed to searching this guy, and that uses all the movement points I've used up to this point. So I'm going to exit, and now it should show me again. Okay, now I can see how many movement points I'm using. So I have 35, 6, and 5. I've got 11 left? No. So 11's going to get me here. That's not actually going to help me in any way, shape, or form. What else can I do? I might as well shoot him, really. So aimed shot, see if I can get 100% anywhere. No, I have to pull back to where I was, probably over here. So that 11 doesn't hugely matter anymore. I just want to get the best shot on this guy I can. There's 100% on the torso. I will take that. Bam. Ah, grazing hit. Alright, now in the bottom right you can see my weapon. 2 of 3 shots, and below that there is... it's kind of like a durability indicator, like I said. If that bar fills up entirely, your weapon will jam, and it doesn't matter how many rounds it's got in it, won't fire. A field repair will 100% clear that durability meter, whereas a reload will only slightly decrease that durability meter, so slightly unjam the weapon, and reload all your rounds. A fully jammed weapon cannot be reloaded. So it doesn't matter how many rounds it's got in it, if it's fully jammed, you can't just reload and get a little bit of durability back and get one shot off. You have to field repair the weapon. Everybody can do a field repair. Some characters are better at it than others, namely the lay mechanic. The lay mechanic is good at field repairing stuff for you. Right, now I've got 10 action points left, and there really isn't anything much I can do. I'm going to move over to this. So I've got a little bit of cover, I'm going to kneel, and I'm going to reload my weapon again. And that will be the end of my leader's turn. Oops. Right, now they have nobody left. I'm going to use this. Now they were pinned last fight. That's not a problem though. We should still have enough movement points. Yeah, they've still got 50 movement points. Now this leader is bothering me because he is the healthiest person left. So I'm going to get right up to him and I'm going to smack him down hard. Now that was possibly a bad idea, because what I've done now is I've stood right where my other characters would probably be trying to fire. So they're going to have to move further to get around my character, who is now blocking line of sight. And again, I can only recharge one weapon. They're both on 3 of 5, so I'll recharge. Doesn't matter which one I recharge, and that will end my turn. Alright, this is my saboteur. And they will... I can kill that heavy, or I can kill that leader. Now the leader's going to have to disengage. I'm going to try and kill this heavy. There we go, 82% shot, 98% shot. That should definitely do it. And that puts them down. And that also crashes the game another time. This is really odd because the game doesn't normally crash this often, I swear. It's normally much more stable than that. Now the good thing is, oh dear, it appears to have done something horrendous to Steam as well. Store. Library. Yeah, when I go to the library doesn't look right. Okay, so unexpectedly, I'm going to have to end the stream there because I don't know what's happened. This has now finally actually done something to my computer. Where I am, it is currently very hot. I will check some of my system temps. Quite possibly it got too hot, I don't know. I don't think so, it wouldn't make sense. Even at the ambient air temperature, a water cooler and a... Yeah, my system temps are looking fine. They're all under 60. My CPU is 65. My RAM temps are 58s and 57s. My hard drives are lower than 50s. My GPU is 53. No, so it wasn't a temperature thing. But yeah, that's odd. That's a real shame that actually it didn't just crash the game again, but the game apparently did something to Steam somehow. Who knows? Anyway, so I'm going to have to end the stream there while I work out what this bug was. Probably require me to restart my computer. That does give you some idea of the general gameplay loop of Necromunda. As I said, there are story missions. They are a lot more contained. During the course of the story, you have to play all three gangs. It's a real shame I don't have anything else to bring up, like just a picture or something. But yeah, like I said, Steam crashed, so I can't even show you that. Just a black screen and me talking for a minute. Yeah, look, it's not for everyone. A lot of people who are fans of Necromunda were disappointed by the game. A lot of people who played the artist previously known as Games Workshop's previous tabletop to video game title known as Mordheim. Was it Mordheim? I can't remember what that was called. I think it was Mordheim. So Mordheim is basically the fantasy equivalent of Necromunda. It's also gang-based warfare, but it's based in a medieval fantasy setting. And that was pretty good. It released also badly, took a long time to come right, but once it did come right, it was a good game and was a lot of fun. And Necromunda, if you ask me, is a lot of fun now. It just has its foibles and, as you've seen today, bugs. Now, when I do eventually get that restarted, there's like a 99% chance that when I go to load that gang, it'll load straight into that mission where I was, and it'll be that saboteur's turn to go. So, while it does have bugs and it does crash to desktop, the game generally recovers to the exact point where the crash was. So I give them credit for that. Anyway, it looks gorgeous. The characters look exactly how one would imagine them within the lore, as well as match up to the actual models that you can buy extremely well. In fact, a lot better in some cases. Like on the tabletop, there are no female Goliaths. You don't see a female Goliath model. But the lore doesn't say that there aren't female Goliaths. In fact, I think it quite specifically says that there are. You just don't see the models because they didn't make any models for them. I think there might be like one or two female models for some of the other gangs, but the model range is really very male dominated. However, this one, they didn't. It's basically 50-50 unless you're an Escher, because an Escher has a reason for only being represented by the one biological gender on the table, well, or in the game. Anyway, so that's going to have to do it due to this big old crash that I'm going to have to fix. So thanks for watching. If you like this content, hit that like button. If you want to see more of my content, hit that subscribe button so you can find the channel nice and easy. If you want to see when I go live and when I upload new videos, hit that bell icon. And if you didn't like this video, hit that dislike button. That's what that's there for. They wouldn't have made it if it wasn't something that you're supposed to do. But if you do hit that dislike button, I would appreciate if you could leave me a comment letting me know what it was you didn't like. If you didn't like that the game crashed, well, that's out of my control. But, oh well, if you want to say that, then you can say that. That's a fair comment. The game crashed and you didn't get to see the end of it. You might dislike that. I won't hold it against you. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.